We have a quilting tradition here at Quilting Color in that every December we have a 15 minutes to stitch challenge. It's a sew-along designed to give you some time for yourself away from the hustle and bustle of the daily activities that you have going on. You're getting ready for the holiday season. And it also gives a chance for your quilts to keep making some progress throughout the month. Just 15 minutes a day gives you a small break to explore your creativity and let you make progress on your quilts. I've made complete quilts just 15 minutes at a time. So every day in the month of December, I post a video and I ask you to sew along with me. You can work on your own creative projects even if they aren't sewing. And then you can just let me know what you're working on, and at the end of the month I draw a name to be a winner for the challenge. And that winner will win a prize. The challenge will start on December 1. More details will be announced later, but I just wanted to give you a chance to know that it's coming up and to give you a chance to practice by sewing along with me today while I work on binding my Ruby Buttons quilt. So let's get started on the Ruby Buttons quilt. Okay, I've gone ahead and finished quilting this. So now I'm going to just go ahead and trim this. Also, while I was waiting for the battery to charge up, I did go ahead and press the binding. So once I trim this quilt, I should be able to go ahead and just put the binding on pretty quickly. So now I'm just going to trim the quilt. I guess I could just go ahead and take out the safety pins so that they're not in the way. Go ahead and trim. So it's going to be a really simple matter of just trimming these. Trimming this, I'm going to trim as close to the edge as possible and just trim off some little sections here that are a little bit off. So I'm just making sure these two lines are straight, and that'll give me a nice straight line for this direction. So I've been doing a lot of quilting lately, so I need to change my blade more often. Actually, there's some lint stuck on it. Okay, so that's done. Go ahead and do the other side while I'm here. These shorter sides are going to be, I'm thinking that the shorter sides would be easier to do than the longer sides. Setup that I have here with the ironing board right here. Okay, so this one, I'm also again lining up these sides. So this should be nice and easy. It looks like there's not a lot of excess here, at least for the top. Here again, I'm lining this up to the edge. Lining this up to the edge of the quilt here. Trying to see as much, if I can get things to be as straight as possible, to be as close as possible to this edge. Looks good to me. There we go. Looks like it's gonna be good. Okay, you can see this is straight, pretty much. Just a little bit of a this is close enough to being straight, and then I can just cut straight up this way. Last side. So I want to just take a look at the back. It looks like the back looks fine with the backing. I did put this really close to the selvage, but I can just add another strip here to fix that so that that won't be a problem. Take a look at this back again. I'm hoping that if I sew this wide enough, which I'm going to do, because this is going to be covered by the by the binding anyway. Because I do like to make my binding just a little bit wider than a 1/4 of an inch. And then I can just have, even if it's a little bit smaller on the back, which will be fine. On this side it might, actually on this side it's going to be a problem too. Right here. So there's 2 ways I can think of fixing it. I can add like the pillow backing like I had before, where I just sewed a bigger piece here. How do I fix this? So I was already planning on putting a label here, and I was planning, let me see, I was going to just add like a little corner triangle so that I could make a label here. It is. I was going to add a corner triangle like this. But I'm thinking maybe if I just make it big enough, then the worst parts will be fixed. The rest of this I think can be fixed in the binding. I think it'll be fine with the binding, even if it's a little bit skinnier than this. But this section here, this corner, if I can just make a bigger label, like I could just go ahead and, I might just be able to just make it really big, like this. Alright, all the binding is getting in the way here, all the extra batting. This might be too big, too big of a correction. Yeah, I could make something a little bit smaller because I don't think I need that big a correction. Don't want to waste fabric either. But this fabric is it's a keepsake calico. This fabric is relatively inexpensive, so I think it'll be fine if I use a little bit more than I need. But so yeah, that's how I'm going to correct this mistake. I think I'm just going to go ahead and make it maybe not that big, but maybe this big. Just enough to cover up the majority of the extra. I don't know if you can see how there's all this batting that's showing. If I can just trim away, if I can just make the corner triangle fit this corner as much as possible, then I think I'll just fix this problem with that. Nobody will know that it even happened. And it'll be a very big label. I'm going to have to write lots of words to make it look like it belongs there. All right, really big. Yeah, I think about this size should cover it. Should cover up the bulk of the problem area. And then here there'll just be a little bit left over, but that part can be covered up with the binding. And here there's no problem here at all. And the rest of the quilt is just fine without anything else. So I need about this size of a square. Okay, I'm going to take out the rest of these safety pins. Okay, so I am going to take out the rest of these safety pins. There's only two left. This one is approximately 9.5 inches. So I need a 9.5 inch square. And cut off the selvage. I'll just cut this direction, 9.5 inches. Move everything out of the way. This selvage. Fabric. So now I can just fold this in half and just put this on the corner of the quilt, and that'll be my very big label. I have to write a really fancy story about this quilt so that I can make it look like the big label was on purpose. Alright, so I'll go ahead and sew on the label to the back of the quilt on this corner, and then I'm also going to go ahead and sew the binding at the same time. I'm going to pin this in the right place. And I'm going to sew the binding to the back of the quilt, because that way I can machine sew the rest of it to the front of the quilt. This part, because it's so big, I'll probably have to hand sew this at some point, but I think this quilt can still be considered finished even if I don't hand sew this right away. But I do want to make sure I sew it down because that's a very big spot for it not to be, for it not to have a closure. So that's the plan. I'm going to sew, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew the binding here to the back of the quilt, and then I'll press it after I fold it. Then I'll just fold it over and then sew it to the front of the quilt. I'll probably press it while after I sew it on this side, just to make sure that I have it properly in place. So I'll meet you back at the sewing machine. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and press this back around so that it'll be easier to sew to the front, and I'll be right back. Looks like I was able to catch all the edges of the backing into the binding, so that's good. Of my clips are, but I could clip some of these in place so that they'll be where they need to be. I just want to make sure that they're straight on, flat, not stretching them in any way, just to make sure that they stay in place. Particularly careful at the corners to make sure that that's a nice mitered seam. I wound up with the seams of the binding in all of the corners. I did not plan that at all, so, and I could have fixed it when I was seeing that the seam was coming up, but I didn't do that. Because usually it works out just fine with it that way. I'm going to go ahead and just use straight pins. Also in this direction, so the pins will need to head in this direction. As always, playing with your squeaky toy. Which to me is a pleasant sound that she's playing and having fun. And I think I'm going to use some kind of decorative stitch on the edge so that I don't have to be perfect with the straight line. I could use like a zigzag stitch or a serpentine stitch. I think a serpentine stitch would be quick enough to make without a lot of movement on the needle for the sewing machine, and I'll still get the job done. Especially with it being so close to the binding. Especially since it's coming to so many different layers, I don't want to make a big complicated stitch that's going to wreck my sewing machine. Try to be nice to the sewing machine as much as possible. sorry, the seam is right there. It's a small pin. I'm glad that I'm able to make this nice simple quilt without worrying too much about adding extras or anything like that, although I could, if I really wanted to, is add, say, a bow tie or a ribbon at the top of every seam, say at the top of every set of buttons. But I don't really think it's necessary. It doesn't look like it's necessary. Yeah, I like the way it looks. It makes me really happy. And so now I'm just going to sew along using a serpentine stitch to finish off this binding, and then this quilt will be done. And then I'll have to, well, actually it won't be done. I still need to write my information here on the label, and hopefully I'll be able to think of, maybe I can just write the whole project quilting story, something like that, on the back, so that it kind of justifies the use of the bigger border. All right, so we'll meet you back at the sewing machine again. still Saturday and my quilt is finished. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the design wall so we can take some pictures and take a closer look at this quilt. It's not even 7:30 on Saturday evening and this quilt is already done way before the deadline of 1 p.m. on Sunday. This is my Project Quilting Challenge submission, and the theme for this week was birthstone, and my birthstone is ruby, so this one is close enough to me for a ruby color. I'm really happy with the way it looks with the placards. I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but I'm really happy with the quilting design and the simple aesthetic of this quilt. Kind of looks a little bit pink here from this angle, but hopefully it's still, I think it's still a red and white quilt. I guess I might have it back upside down because there is a label. Might be better to put the label on the left side and put the label on the top anyway. Either way is fine. And then I can just add my information up there. And since I pieced the buttons on as a strip set, I have lots of extra strips that I can use for a bonus project. And I already have an idea for what I'm going to make with that. So look forward to seeing that coming up. I hope that you enjoyed watching me make progress on my ruby quilt. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all of your support, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Which one of these videos are you going to watch next?